Morning, everyone. Management, can I request you to switch on your videos? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's begin. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to yet another round of the Valorem CXO Meet. In today's CXO Meet, we are hosting the management of Cosmo Films Limited. As you know, my name is Anuj Sonpal, the CEO of Valorem Advisors, and your host today. Firstly, on behalf of the company, I would like to thank you all for participating in this event. Secondly, I would also like to thank the management participating with us today for giving us this opportunity to host them for our Valorem CXO Meet. Thank you, sir. As you may already know by now, the Valorem CXO Meet is a first of its kind virtual analyst meet event series, and our intention with these virtual CXO meets is to take advantage of technology platforms like this by reaching out to a wider audience and to create a better understanding and bring awareness about the company's fundamental business, provide insights into their specific industries, financials, and future growth strategies. The format of this analyst meet will be primarily in a Q&A interview format, where I will start off by asking the management some broad level questions and then move on to questions from the participants. Please note that if you would like to ask any questions to the management, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to post your questions, which I will ask on behalf of you to the management post the initial questions are over. Now, before I begin, I would like to mention a short cautionary statement. Some of the statements made today may be forward-looking in nature. Such statements are subject to risks and uncertainties, which could cause results to differ from those anticipated. Such statements are based on management's beliefs as well as assumptions made by and information currently available to management. Audiences are cautioned not to place any undue reliance on these forward-looking statements in making any investment decisions. Let me now introduce you to the management participating with us in today's meet. We have with us Mr. Pankaj Poddar, Chief Executive Officer. Good morning, sir. As an introduction, Mr. Poddar has been with the company since 2011. He has been a regular speaker at various packaging industry forums and also sits on the board of Organization of Plastic Processors of India. Under his aegis, the company has crossed multiple milestones, such as being given the 10th position in Fortune's Next 500 mid-sized companies and finding a place in the top 500 corporate list published by Dun & Bradstreet. He was himself awarded the Young Business Leaders Award at the Dare to Dream Awards presented by Zee Business in association with SAP in 2018. He was also bestowed with People CEO Award by NIPM, National HR Excellence Award, and the Indian CEO of the Year Award by Association of Business Communicators of India. We also have with us Mr. Neeraj Jain, Chief Financial Officer. Morning, Neeraj. Mr. Neeraj Jain has over 2 decades of experience in finance, business planning and strategy, taxation and risk management with large manufacturing and service industries like Aditya Birla Group, Havells and Bajaj Alliance. He is a Bachelor of Commerce from Delhi University, a qualified chartered accountant. Neeraj ji has been working as a CFO with the company since 2013. He played a key role in carrying out corporate restructuring and supporting the company's growth in the past. He was awarded top in 10 inspiring CFOs in India by CEO Insights and many others. Now, without any further delay, let us begin. I'll start with Pankaj first. Pankaj, could you start with giving us a broad overview of the company and maybe a brief history of the company, also its journey to what the company has transpired into today, please. Over to you, Pankaj.
Many thanks, Anuj, and all the investor community. Thanks for joining in. Cosmo Films was established in 1981 and it is the pioneer of BOPP film industry in India. It is also the largest film exporter from India, given the specialty advantage it has with it. The company's vision is to be the most preferred global brand offering value-added oriented films in packaging, labels, lamination and industrial films. The company's growth accelerated from year 2000 onwards, post which the company has been expanding every year. It became world's largest lamination player in 2009, and it is also the second largest label film supplier in the world. It is by far the largest BOPP-based value add films producer in India, And it also ventured into CPP films, which facilitate sustainability in a significant way. Company is supplying to some of the largest FMCG worlds in the world, including Unilever, Nestle, Coke, Pepsi, P&G, and also to renowned packaging material suppliers, including Amcor, Huhtamaki, Every Denizen, and Raflatec. The company is positioned to be a niche player providing unique sustainable solutions, whether for flexible packaging, whether for PVC-free synthetic paper, labels for decorative applications, and also lamination films for graphic art industry. The company has been continuously strengthening R&D capabilities. That is the thrust of the company, and has team comprising of more than 20 plus postdoctoral doctorates and masterates in the company. We have recently built R&D campus at Aurangabad with best-in-class pilot lines and most advanced R&D equipments. The company has at least 10 patents, 7 of them in India and 3 in US. And in recent years, we have applied several new patents, some of them which I can recall and I can share with you. There's a very nice patent that we have just applied as an antiviral textile additive. There are 2 patents on CPP, one for higher shelf life and better seal integrity, and there is another one for which we are taking a trademark, which is towards again sustainability, and it allows for reverse printing and can take a very large segment in the years to come. It was an unmet need of the industry for last several years. Then we have also taken a rewritable synthetic paper. So what you can actually do is to write it, rub it, write it, rub it. We are also going to launch this as a consumer segment product in India very soon, and a low noise tape. The company has manufacturing units in India. India is the main one, and then there is I would say, a smaller plant in Korea. The total capacities are as follows. It is 200,000 tons for BOPP, 40,000 tons for thermal lamination films largely, 20,000 tons for coated, 22,000 tons for metallized, and 10,000 tons for CPP film. The company has recently announced a 300 crore expansion plan to expand into niche polyester label and heat reduction segment. In its 100% subsidiary, which is Cosmos Specialty Chemicals, has ventured into specialty chemicals business with vision to initially backward integrate with additives and chemicals production, and later service chemicals, additives, adhesives to our existing customers for packaging labels and textile industry, as well as for end consumer segment. For the company, sustainability is again a key thriving factor. It has taken our target to be water positive at all its plant locations, increase the consumption of processed waste, continuously making sure that it is improving air quality in the nearby areas, planting several thousand trees, taking sustainability measures not at its own plant but also helping customers and society at large. To ensure that the waste that they are generating is recyclable, reusable, and in general try to reduce cost. The company has a strong independent board, and it gives a lot of weightage to the corporate governance. So these are some of the critical key highlights that I wanted to share.
Sure. So thank you for that. You already touched upon a little bit about your products, but for some of the new viewers today. Could you elaborate on the company's product portfolio, the usage of these films, and also the chemical segment into segments and industries, please?
Yeah. So the company, if you see any BOPP film supplier, they're largely into packaging segment. We are also into packaging segment, but for us, it's a very, I would say, a relatively smaller segment. Our only 38% sales, it used to be 54% a couple of years back, and it has even further come down to 38% into packaging segment. And within that also, a very large chunk is now going into sustainable solutions, into specialty segments for the meeting the end consumers. Within packaging, some of the critical categories that we do is print and pouching, barrier films, overwrap films, and lidding films. Lidding is also an upcoming area with the polyester line expansion. This is again an area that we intend to grow in the near future. The second is the graphic art film segment, which is 24%. Here we are the largest in the world. The main segment for us is thermal lamination, where we are the by far the largest, and along into wet lamination, spatial applications, and premium lamination films. Label film for decorative applications is another niche segment where we are continuously growing. It used to be around 8-9% a couple of years back and has now touched around 14%. Here we supply 4 segments, which are pressure sensitive labels, direct thermal printable films, in-mold label films, and wraparound label. Synthetic paper and other industrial, this is again a niche area for us, and it has already started contributing 24% of our total sales. Within this segment, synthetic paper is an extremely crucial area for us. There's another segment which is confidential and I can't share, that is also growing very beautifully for the company. And then within the specialty chemical segment, additives for flexible packaging and specialty chemicals. Cosmo Film is also leading launch of new products every year in value add segments, and therefore we are able to apply for newer patents and get into several new sub-segments as such. Thank you.
Great. So thanks for that. Can we move on to our manufacturing footprint? You already touched upon, our different manufacturing plants across the world. If you could elaborate on this and also the company's growth plans in our footprint out here.
So I've already touched base on the film capacity. The main one is BOPP, which is 200,000 tons. Polyester can be, there can be different ways to look at the capacity for polyester as well. It's somewhere in between 36,000, which is going to come in 2 years' time. We have thermal 40,000 and all that, which I have already talked about before. As far as the growth is concerned, one is we are continuously working towards moving from the base BOPP films to value-added products, and our objective is to be a full-blown specialty film supplier. The other growth areas for us is one is the specialty BOPET segment that we have already talked about, where we are looking for labels for decorative applications. We are looking at heat reduction segment, and we are also evaluating, graphic art industry and captive consumption to enhance our specialty portfolio. Other than this, the specialty chemical company, the subsidiary for the company, is again an area for growth where we are looking to get into textile segment. We are looking to get into master batches and additives for the film industry. And by the end of this financial year, we are also going to come into the adhesive segment. Adhesive will be a very large segment for our chemical business. That will be the main thriving segment where we are again looking into 3-4 sub-segments of various adhesives, which are partly B2B and partly B2C segments. Barring this, we have also recently announced a pet care foray, and I will explain about pet care segment a little later. So those are some of the expansion plans for the company.
Sure, sir. Thank you for that. Moving on, can we touch upon now the broader industry? You mentioned that we are one of the largest manufacturers of BOPP films in India. Can you throw some more light on the domestic and international market size? Who are the largest players for our product categories, both in India, globally, and how does Cosmo position itself and also differentiate against its competitors?
Yeah, so globally, BOPP is I would say fairly mature industry. It is roughly 8.5 million tons, and India is roughly 680,000 tons. So India is almost around 7-8% of the global industry. I would say both at a global level and at India level, it's fairly balanced in terms of demand and supply. We see every year 4 to 5 lines coming up, and there's an almost equivalent amount of growth which is happening in demand and supply. Though increasingly we are not as much bothered about the demand and supply situation because for us it is not the commodity segments that we are really supplying. Our entire focus remains specialty segment, the niche segments where through our research we can service our end consumers. And if you talk about the competition that you wanted to understand, if you Indian competition are SRF, Max Specialty Films, Jindal Polyfilms, Nahar. These are again some of the Indian players. But if you talk about the players that we see as competition in the specialty segment, our competition is primarily with select international players, such as Innovia, Taglif, Jindal Films, which was earlier erstwhile ExxonMobil. So these are, I would say, some of our critical competitors. As far as our focus, it clearly lies on specialty flexible packaging to meet the unmet needs of customers like Unilever, Nestle, and other brands, and creating niche segments which differentiate us from at least the local competition and to a large extent most of the global competition. Some of the new products that we are working or we have done in the recent years, some of the ones which I can think of is one is PVC-free signages. Second one is a writable and erasable paper, which we are also about to launch in Indian market. Non-tearable paper for consumer at large. Thermal printable paper, and if you really see, those credit card slips which loses the ink, we are actually come out that in the film where the ink doesn't go away. So that's kind of a magic paper that we call. Additive for film industry and antiviral and antibacterial coating. So these are the niche segments, the recent additions into the company portfolio.
Great, sir. Thank you for that. You mentioned about the pet care segment. Can you just elaborate on this? What is the company doing here, and what are the plans?
Yeah, so that's it's obviously a new segment. And what if I tell you that we have a business idea that is going to address a problem being faced by almost 20% of India's population. In India, pet care is one of the fastest growing industries with phenomenal 20% growth. And although the pet population in India is 1/3 of US population, however, from an industry size perspective, is only 1/30th part of US market. And therefore, we see a substantial growth potential. It's already growing at 20%, 22%, and we do see that it's only going to grow better and better as each passing year. Let me explain the solution that we have on pet care. When someone intends to have a pet, they face issues like which breed to go for, where can they adopt pet, how to train the pet, what is the right food, vaccination requirements, etc. Our solution will be a structured technology platform which will address all the needs of pet owners, including the ones, the issues that we talked about earlier. The portal will not only facilitate services and sale of products to pet owners, but would also address the day-to-day problems of pets. The proposed platform will address pet needs at every stage of life, whether it is the search for the pet, whether registered breeder, where to adopt, how to adopt, vaccination, right food, trainers, grooming services. So, what we are looking at is an entire ecosystem where we can try and solve all the problems. And our focus would actually lie a lot in terms of services because, if we talk about product piece, we feel that's an easier one to sort out. And therefore, we are looking to solve the services piece as well for the consumer. We are looking for pet care as a pilot project to begin with, and then expand with all the enthusiasm and energy after the pilot run, after we take the learnings from the pilot run. And having pet care as a part of Cosmofilm is comparatively tax efficient structure and cost efficient structure too. And we do plan to hive off pet care in the times to come within next 2 to 3 years into a separate legal entity, which will also facilitate its funding plan. So I think just to summarize, I can say that in India, pet adoption is moving at a fast rate due to one is social reasons, and especially COVID has actually increased the adoption rate and with low socialization and nuclear families. And people care for the pet as a child, and with increasing income levels, spending on the pet is only going to go up. And we intend to be an early mover platform addressing pets' needs at every stage of life and would have clear advantages. Thank you.
Great, sir. That's very interesting. As a pet owner, I can definitely tell you that that sounds very intriguing for sure. Moving on, let's talk to Neeraj ji. Before I take questions from the participants, I already see there's quite a few questions in the queue. So Neeraj ji, on the finance side, if you can touch upon, maybe just give a brief overview on the key financial aspects of the company. Also, a more important question is, the 5-year CAGR of the company has been on the top line has grown about 5 to 7%. But the bottom line has, over the same period, has grown about 30 something percent. So, was this by design? And if so, what is the outlook for for the next 3 to 5 years?
Thank you, Anuj. So let me first address your first question. I think Cosmo Films has got fairly robust financials. We are a A+ rated company by Fitch, and there has been 2 credit rating upgrades during last 4 years. Well, who knows? There may be another rating upgrade on cards in short time. Cosmo Films runs 16% return on capital employed currently and 18% return on equity. This is on the trailing 12 months basis. And looking at current year expectation, we expect it to further improve during FY 2021. Net debt to EBITDA is about 1.8 times and net debt to equity is 0.7 times, supporting these strong financials. The company has upright dividend payout record. It has paid more than 20% of PAT as dividend during the last 1 decade. The operating results are on uptrend. The last few quarters, we have been beating previous quarter operating results on the back of higher specialty sales and improved operating margins. The company has posted best ever profitability during FY 19-20, and considering progress on the specialty and the current trend, the company expect this to surpass in the current financial year. Well, the company did last expansion in early 2017, and we are able to reach almost close to 100% capacity utilization within the next 12 months. So then later company decided to consolidate, grow its specialty segment, undertake some of the margin expansion projects. So the top line growth might not be very visible there. But now I think growth is on the horizon. So to summarize, company is all set for the next level of growth, both in the top line and bottom line, which will come from a couple of factors. First, is specialty BOPET line will add close to 20% volume for the company. And on the top of it, it's going to be primarily specialty films. So it will further have uptick in the EBITDA level. We are converting 2 large wheel production lines during the current financial year into specialty film lines. So that will further add push to the specialty portfolio. Further, during the last year mid, we commissioned a coating line actually, which in the current financial year, we should have the full year production out of it. That will be in addition to the previous year specialty. We have already started making additives initially for the captive consumption and the margin expansion. And now we plan it to make this specialty chemical for textile segment and the consumer adhesive. Well, in the last, as Pankaj explained, pet care vertical shall provide different dimension. The future is moving fast towards pet adoption in India due to inherent social reason. And an early mover platform addressing pets' need at every stage of life will definitely have clear advantage. To summarize, Cosmo Films shall continue to move towards advanced specialty film company, supporting brands to building recyclable packaging structure, R&D, and new product development. Thank you.
Good, sir. Thank you for that. So let's move on now to take some of the questions from the participants. Participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A button to ask the same, and I will try to ask the management as many questions as possible, time permitting. We have a few questions that have been pre-requested over email, so I'll start with those. So the first question is, do you think that the BOPP film margin shall remain stable in the coming years, and why?
See, BOPP margins, at least in the short term, is expected to stay strong. for the simple reason that there are not many expansions coming. But really speaking, we are not bothered on that. We intend to be almost 100% specialty player. We are trending towards that fairly well. And I think increasingly we are not really concerned in terms of how is the market going.
Okay, sir. Next question I'll take from is Manoj Bengani. Is the company running at 100% capacity utilization in this entire quarter? Again, I would refrain from answering any questions particularly to this quarter because you're close to the quarter end. But generally speaking, how is the utilization picking up, especially after COVID?
Yes and no, both.
Yeah.
Yes, because we are running all our lines full throttle. No, because all our lines are not as yet on specialty. So I would say yes and no. So we have capacities available to run more specialty films, and in fact we are doing major changes to two of our lines so that they are much more capable to run only and only specialties, which would be carried out in Q3. So answer remains yes and no.
Okay. His follow-up question is, how much of the sales is specialized films versus normal films?
Yeah, so from a volume perspective, we are touching close to 55% now. And by the end of this year, 60% of, from volume perspective, volumes should be specialty sales. And within less than 2 years, we are looking at 70% specialty sales.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Ayush Buttada. Last time when Cosmo announced setting up a BOPET line, it was about 36,000 tons at 250 crores capex. But now this has increased slightly to 30 crores. What's the difference? What is the reason for this?
Yeah, so when it comes to capex increase, there are two parts of it. One is there is a small bit of inflation, I would say 6 to 7% inflation, because it was announced in 17 and we are now sitting in 20. So there's almost a 3 years, deferment that we did for this project. The rest of it is because we've added some more equipments to better equip ourselves to be a specialty player. In fact, as we move along in 2 years' time, we will have to also do another capex of 50-60 crores to convert this line into 100% specialty. Our clear target is to be 100% specialty mix when it comes to polyester line as well.
Okay, sir. His follow-up is, why are we setting up a BOPET line instead of BOPP line, given that demand-supply situation is better towards BOPP currently compared to BOPET?
Yes, so as I said earlier, our 50% capacity on the BOPP is still meant to be converted. And I think within next 18 months also, we are still talking 70%. So until we are close to 85%, we do not intend to add any BOPP capacity. We are very clearly looking at a full-blown specialty player.
Okay. Another follow-up from him is, how is synthetic paper performing? Is it growing as per Cosmo's expectation? How much does it currently contribute to the total sales?
So it's a very important segment for us. It's growing very well. I'm very happy to share that even within the first 2 quarters, in spite of COVID, because COVID really impacted us in April and May, still if we see first 6 months, we have had some growth. Ideally, it should have been much more, but April, May, we did not see any significant sales happening for this segment. Gradually, it picked up, and in last 2 months, it has picked up really well. So we are targeting well. It is close to 2.5% of our total sales. And next 3 years, we will try and take this segment to 10% of our total sales.
Okay, sir. Next question I'll take from KPMS. And it's similarly around the BOPET expansion, what made the management initiate the plan for BOPET expansion, especially when they had deferred this because they wanted to reduce the debt post 1920, and also recently the company thought of using the funds for pet care business. Can you share some thoughts on this?
Yeah, so we are very comfortably placed now on the debt EBITDA ratios, debt equity ratios. So last 2-3 years, we were trying to consolidate and maintain our focus on specialty growth. Once we have ensured that all our processes are strong enough to move in that direction, and we are seeing quarter on quarter growth is getting better, So we said that now our debt EBITDA ratios are less than 2, and we have growth ambitions as well. So we allocated funding for the pet line as such. Having said so, the pet care business is not as much capex or opex. We are only talking about at best 100 crores in 4 to 5 years, and then we start business becoming self-sustainable and start making money. It's more of brand building in that business rather than so much of capex and opex. So I think we are very, very comfortably placed.
Okay, sir. Next question I'll take from Ayush Junjunwala. Management has been talking a lot about AI, machine learning from a point of becoming more productive and focused towards automation and paperless. For most of us, these are buzzwords. Could you give some examples where we have implemented this and what impact it has had? Also, are there any metrics we use to monitor the savings?
Yeah, so there are two elements that we are looking into it. It's not just cost reduction, but also improving the delivery to our customer. Some of the projects that we are doing, one is obviously we are clearly becoming a paperless organization. We are launching a vendor portal, and we are also launching a document management system. With the help of these tools, the moment a vendor invoices us, right from that stage to, we virtually require no people to do the GRN, gate entry, store accounting, finance accounting. So we will be able to get away with all those processes, which is quite significant. Similarly, we did the same thing in sales. But the objective is not just cost. The objective is to make company much more consumer friendly, customer friendly. We had implemented Salesforce in the past, and that has really improved our communication with the customer and being looked after as a high-end customer-focused company. Similarly, our focus is, we are now launching chatbots so that consumer can put an order through WhatsApp itself. We have now made sure that our customers can put their orders directly into our system. So rather than having entire back office team putting the orders for the customer, now almost all our domestic customers have already shifted to where they are putting their orders into system, and we are gradually, because exports is more challenging, but that is also one of the prerogatives that we have, is to ensure that even the export customers are able to put their orders into system. So one is, it is making us more customer friendly, and besides it, we are also looking at cost reduction. Now we are also creating a 3-dimensional video for the company, because with the COVID, customers can't come and visit us. We are creating a nice video which will have a 3D view. It's actually a 9-camera view of the entire campus that customer can sit on their computer and see themselves, whether they're sitting in America or wherever. They can have a complete plant tour. That is another thing that we are going to launch soon. So these things will make us more customer friendly, vendor friendly, employee friendly, and at the same time will enable us to do cost reductions. And if you see, some of the costs have already started moving down. But for us, more than cost, it is more stakeholder friendly as a company.
That was very informative. Thank you, sir. And another very interesting question from Ayush. What makes you get up from bed every morning? One part is, what aspect of your business is most exciting to you? Second is, in terms of mind share, what is it that keeping you most occupied?
So for me, it is ensuring that our stakeholders really enjoy to be part of this company. That is what drives me. That is what I think right in the morning. And, for me, I would say all those 3-4 critical aspects are equally important. So one is making Cosmo film business into 100% specialty business. That is one objective that we look at, which will obviously give us far superior margins versus any competition around the world. Second is to make specialty chemicals at least a 500 to 600 crore business in next 5 years, and again be 100% specialty chemical research oriented business. And obviously now we have got into pet care. It's a technology oriented B2C platform. So I try and focus on all of them, but obviously our bread and butter is film, which right now takes most of my time.
Great, sir. Thanks for that. Let's move on to some of the questions, and there's a lot of them on the Q&A link. First question I'll take from Manan Shah. He believes that other players are also expanding capacities in BOPET. Would this lead to an oversupply in the market? What is the rational thought process behind the expansion again?
Again, we are really not bothered about what's happening because all that is going into bread and butter, the basic film supplies. We are not really concerned. We are into niche segments, and what's happening in the market is it really doesn't bother us as much.
Okay. His follow-up question is the company trying too many things at the same time? From specialty chemicals to master batches, pet care, and BOPET. How will you stay focused and not lose way?
So I think one of the things that we are doing is to have a business head for each of the businesses. If you see all large groups, they operate the same way. They do not have, they basically have business head for every business, and we're exactly doing the same way. So we already have appointed Dr. Anil Gaikwad as the business head for our chemical business. We have appointed Ambrish as the business head for pet care business. And gradually we'll also have a business head for a film business. So each of these businesses will be driven by the business heads who will aspire to make it larger.
Okay, sir. Next question I'll take from Siddharth Mohta from Principal. We were converting 30,000 metric tons commodity film line into value add. Post converting, can we utilize this 30,000 metric tons in 12 to 18 months? And on this entire 30,000 metric ton, can we assume about 2.5 times margin over commodity segment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, next question I'll take from Nitin Khankar. What is the management doing that is competitors, both domestic and global, aren't doing yet?
I think one thing is they are not realizing the importance of investing in research and development and then being a customer-centric organization. Those are the two differentiators. And investing in its people, I think that is the foremost. For them, people is a cost. For us, it's an investment. I think these are three critical areas which differentiates us.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Mr. Amitabh Chakraborty. What is the clear reason for backward chemical foray? Since you are a packaging film company, why chemicals? And what is the capital allocation decision here?
So two things. One is, actually multiple things, not just two, but some of them which comes to my mind. One is it allows us to protect our, the research that we are doing. Second, because otherwise what happens is if we buy something from a supplier and it has a probability of getting copied. So we want to safeguard our intellectual property rights, Second is we are able to research more because you can do better films or specialty films either by doing change in process or change in material. And what we are really trying to do is to capture the entire knowledge base within the company when it comes to material. And process part also, you might have seen that we are now converting 2 lines into specialty film lines. So we are working on the process part, we are working on the material part. So one is backward integration helps us meeting these two objectives. And then what we realized is these two businesses have also common customers with our existing business. And gradually it allows us foraying into B2C segment also, especially when it comes to adhesives. So it will give us an easy entry into these segments because a lot of this will go into our own product making. But then we will gradually start selling this outside to our customers and then to end consumers. So to us, it was a very good investment. And from an investment perspective, especially the chemical business do not entail as much investment. It's more of research game rather than, it's unlike a BOPP business where every time you're investing in a 300 crore business. Our first chemical line, it's such a small capex that we are investing. And the asset turnover ratio will be significantly higher when you try and compare with a film business.
Okay. His follow-up question is on the same lines. Then why pet care also? What is the synergy with the current business?
Yeah, so that's obviously doesn't have as many synergies other than packaging of food and accessories are concerned, but not necessarily that every business has to have synergies. What we realized is, I have already talked about it. Uh, Pet care will impact 20% of India's population, and it remains such an unorganized business. When you go and talk to the pet parents, you really understand the pain points that they have. And we said that we, as an organized player, we can, sort out those pet parents through technology and through the retail channel. And I feel that it was an extremely underserviced, poorly serviced area, and we saw this potential, and we said, let's go. And again, this would not entail too much of capex, opex for us. And if we can build our business within next 5 years, I'm sure it will give significant wealth to our shareholders. They should be the happy to for our success in this.
So is the strategy just diversification and also getting more B2C in that?
So I would say yes, company is looking to be more of a technology player and a B2C player. So we are trying to incorporate the technology part in our film business also, where we are continuously investing in research and development. But also in the pet care and the textile chemicals and the adhesives business. So yes, we are looking to be a more research-oriented B2C player. That doesn't mean that we are not investing in our film business. We have already announced investments in polyester, and given our strong balance sheet, it allows us to do that. So we have been consolidating in last 3 years, and we said it's the opportune time for us to go and invest into expansion of film, as well as look at other allied and non-allied areas for growth.
Okay. Couple questions, and I'll take this from Srinidhi, and a few others are asking around the same lines. Neeraj, this is for you. For the 300 crores capex plan, what is how much debt would be taken? What would be the debt equity and the net debt equity post this capex? Also, in the same lines as follow up is what are the kind of incremental revenues expected from this and the asset turnovers?
Well, the 300 crore capex, we will fund broadly 25% by the internal accruals and the remaining by the debt. And a large part of that is a very cost-effective debt, because we do raise ECA funding basically, which is nominal pricing kind of the funding. We do have tie-up currently for the ECA funding, which is almost close to 0.5% per annum. It's a euro denominated loan. Having said so, I think beside this, very broadly what we see over the period, net debt to EBITDA should remain broadly in the similar range, close to 2 times currently, which we are running. Because this debt will be over a period of time, let us say next 20 months or so. And of course, the company is generating the fair amount of the cash generation each year. Hope that addresses the question.
Yeah, and I think just on the incremental revenues expected from this capex.
So in terms of volume, it will add close to 20%. And in terms of the top line, actually it depends on the product mix, but very broadly about 400 crore of the top line.
Okay, sir. Another follow-up question. Another question, Neeraj, probably for you is from VP Rajesh. What are the debt reduction plans?
Well, if you notice, last 2 years, company has substantially reduced the debt. Currently, we are close to 1.8 times of net debt to EBITDA. And as I indicated, 0.7 times of net debt to equity. But at the end of the day, company has to see a fair amount of the balance between the growth and the with a reasonable level of debt also. So I think what we perceive next few years capex, debt level will remain at a fairly rationalized level. I do not see a substantial increase from there on. And whatever cash generation is happening from the operation is, of course, is getting used for the debt reduction.
Okay. The next question I'll take from Siddharth Mota again. How is the capacity ramp up seen specialty segment seen in synthetic coated, especially in the synthetic coated laminated segment, and any plans to do further debottlenecking in these verticals? Also, in case of synthetic segment, have been launched any new products, added new SKUs targeting B2C segments? And finally, in within specialty segment, are we trying to move up the value chain? So, any visible results can be seen in the coming 12 to 18 months. Pankaj, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so synthetic paper is definitely an important segment. We are doing a lot of research on this segment. We are in the process of launching PVC-free signages. If you really see PVC, all the signages are from PVC, which may not be as much environmental friendly, and a lot of customers are looking to replace it with sustainable solutions. So that is one area of research. It is not yet completed, but we are in the close vicinity of closing on this research and launching this product. We have also recently launched a product which is writable and erasable synthetic paper. We are going to create books for children, because they really like to scribble and rub it. So it initially came from US market. We launched for them, and the product is already approved by the US customer. And then we said, why should we not launch it as a consumer segment? So the moment we launch our consumer segment, you will also see a writable paper from our side. We have actually set up a consumer segment for synthetic paper, which is called Osgay. We have already named it. The name is under trademark registration. And within next few months, we will be launching a whole series of synthetic paper-based products into the consumer market. It will be actually a design brand, which would not just be synthetic paper, but there'll be more elements to it. But we'll go step by step. We're not in a hurry to do everything in 1 year. We'll test the market, have some small sales first year, then grow it, and take it forward from there on.
Okay. I'll take another follow-up from him. What is the current demand and supply equation looking both in export and domestic markets? And are we seeing good client conversion in export market? And how is the inquiries coming in the export markets?
Yes, so we are very well positioned on that. And for us, the continuous struggle is to keep saying no to the commodity customers and keep adding specialty sales. We have been very transparent in sharing our specialty numbers with investors. And if you really see, we have been growing, right? In last 2-3 years, there's a sizable growth that we have already done on specialty, which is bringing far more stability to our financial numbers. And as we try and reach 70% in less than 2 years, the stability factor to the entire financials will be far better.
Okay. Another follow-up from is how are the overseas subsidiaries doing, mainly the US subsidiary, and any product approval seen in the US, like we have got in the self-adhesive segment. Do you think momentum in US towards specialty film, be it coated synthetic, will future improve, and will it add meaningful numbers to the bottom line over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so from a profitability perspective, yes, US used to make $5 million losses to us. And last year, it did profit, PAT level number. And we expect this to grow every year. And just to talk about launches, as I said, recently our rewritable, erasable product got approved. Synthetic paper is growing very nicely. Self-adhesive label, which was something that we were trying for a few years, has been approved by the largest customer there in US. And already they first approved one product. Now they've approved the second product. The most interesting element is in the recent one, they've asked 10 tons to be air shipped. So they've liked the product so much that customer is ready to ask for so much of air shipment of so our product is by far superior than what is available in the US market.
Great. Another one is basically he's saying the last 6 months the company's taken a lot of steps towards operational efficiencies, be it processing or sourcing. Recently, the R&D division also set up some new technology on metallized line, which will improve cost and capex. Your mark for this project was about 20-25 crores. So when will this project be commissioned, and can you quantify the benefit of this capex, and how will it improve the bottom line?
Yes, so the metalizer is again a very special metalizer, which is going to help us in many different ways. It's a special technology. I cannot share too many details until we launch those products, but it will also enhance our specialty film portfolio in the years to come.
Okay. Next question I will take. Can you help us understand the trend of raw material prices over the last 6 months? From Hardik Shah.
Yes, so the raw material prices in the last 6 months have remained stable. Prior to that, obviously, they had fallen down. And actually, it is going up a little bit. So if you really see raw material prices last year was hovering around $1,100. It fell down to close to $750, $800 somewhere, and is now between $900 to $950. So there's slight upward movement, I would say, in last 3-4 months.
Okay. The next question I'll take from Himesh Satra. Who are our largest customers? How much do our top 5-10 customers contribute to our revenues?
So the best part is we are not dependent on any single customer. Though obviously some of the customers are fairly large for us, but they still comprise, I would say, less than 10%. So Unilever is a very large customer, not just for India, but in our total global sales. Our sales with them is continuously growing. Every Denizen is another customer. Nestle is another customer. But none of them, as a standalone customer, is more than, for sure, not more than 10%. Maybe 1 or 2 customers could be close to 5-6% at best. But these are all prominent names in the industry.
Okay. Next question from Sachin Kasera. What is the benchmark for value add films? Is it like 5 to 10 rupees per kilo over base films? Any thoughts on that?
On an average, specialty margins are roughly 2.5 times of commodity, but commodity prices, keeps changing so much. 1 quarter you have better pricing, so it's very difficult to benchmark. And obviously, our profitability when the commodity pricing is good, it may look marginally better if commodity itself is selling like a hot cake, and if it sells at a normal pricing, then we look somewhat better, and then if they're down, then we look significantly better. But I would say in general, specialty films make anywhere between 2 times to 2.5 times of the commodity pricing.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Nirav Jimudia. How our sales and earnings profile will change over the next 3 years, like sales contribution from chemicals, adhesives, specialty BOPET, and if management can give some rough estimates on the margins of the different businesses.
So I think within 3 years, we have a potential to grow our revenue by 30-35%. And but the profitability mix should change much more as it has changed in last 2-3 years. The profitability as a percentage to sales will continue to go up because our entire focus is to invest into niche areas.
Okay. So question from Avinash Nata. Every 5 years, there is a jump in margin cyclically. There is obviously a lot of thought process that the film industry goes to these cyclicality. It goes from 12 to 13% margin, then to 6 to 7% margins. What is the long-term sustainable margins? And let's keep this specific to Cosmo. What do you think will be the long-term sustainable margins over the next 3 to 5 years?
The time we become 80-90% plus specialty player, you can easily expect EBITDA of more than 20%.
And what is that timeline?
So I think right now we have done planning for next 2 years. When it comes to specialty, we have a product pipeline for that. So for 70% number, we have a timeline of 2 years. Obviously, as you score more and more marks, it becomes more and more difficult. But I would say we should easily cross 80% within 3 to 4 years of time frame.
Okay. A question from Anshul Mittal. How many products revenue contribution from the biodegradable range? How much is the product or revenue contribution?
It's negligible. We do not believe in biodegradability as much. It's under a lot of question mark worldwide. So as of now, we hardly do anything. There is something called oxo biodegradable, which also, uh, so I would say close to zero.
Okay. Um, question from Sachin Kasera: Do we have any plans of fundraising over the next 12 to 18 months? Uh, any equity raising plans?
As of now, nothing on the horizon.
Okay. Um, The question from Pranay Javeri, Neeraj, towards you. The sales tax and export incentives are considerable amounts in the P&L. What is the status of the same, and going forward, how will this be?
You see, export incentive would continue, except that there's a news regarding the MEIS. So MEIS, we understand there's a new scheme which government of India will come out with. So I think the MEIS will depend on that. Except that all export incentive, including GST incentive, will continue. We have entered into long-term MOU with the state governments for the GST incentives.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Jatin Damania. Post the 20% specialty BOPET, volume growth capex that we're doing, are we planning any more capex or expansions that are in the pipeline, and if so, in what product line?
So I think on the film side, we have just announced a polyester line, and we do not see any more large film expansions, at least in next 3 to 4 years. When it comes to the specialty chemical business, there will be regular capex, because we are going to put up a chemical line, that we are going to put up a adhesive line, but those are again nothing very substantial capex. So as far as capex is concerned, I think we are next 2 to 3 years. We've already announced the capex plans, and beyond that, we do not see too much of capex happening as such.
Okay. This question has come from a lot of people, and I'm sure it comes to you in every earnings con call. But just to satisfy the number of questions on this is, can you just give a little bit thoughts on the current spreads on the BOPP and BOPET and specialty films?
Again, we are much bothered on this. It's running stable this year. It still goes up and down a little bit here and there. Increasingly, we are not as much bothered in terms of what's the market spread, but because our entire focus, there's nothing much we can do at it, right? The market has moved the way it has to move. Our weekly demand and supply challenges, issues, whatever, and therefore the prices keep moving. So the biggest track for us is how we are tracking on our specialty growth, and I think we continue to do a good job there.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Tarang Agarwal. FY20 was a super cycle year for the entire industry. We have seen it across. How do you see FY21 and 22 moving?
So with our growth that we are continuously seeing in specialty sales, though we never project numbers, but I see no reason why they'll not be better.
Okay. I think he was more referring on the industry. What do you think the industry growth would be?
So see, industry is growing at double the GDP rates, but COVID has dramatically changed all the calculations for every industry. As of now, the packaging segment is growing very nicely. However, if let's say the GDP numbers start falling down, and whether it reduces the consumption or it increases the consumption is very difficult to project. First 6 months, we have actually seen that packaging demand has gone up post-COVID. So we have to really see how it goes, and it's anybody's guess. From a supply perspective, we are not seeing any significant expansions happening either in India or worldwide. There are, I would say, a few lines getting added here and there worldwide. But I think it's fairly balanced.
Okay. A follow-up from him is, are BOPP and BOPET cycles mutually exclusive? Are the prices for BOPP and BOPET benchmarked internationally, or are they more regional?
They are mutually exclusive, and the reason that BOPET off late last 2-3 years had been good is, one is there was a GBF closure. So all of a sudden, 7 lines in the world stopped producing, which was a fairly large number. And second is the PET raw material prices was hovering much lower than the polypropylene and polyethylene prices. So it was giving polyester players some room to play with the margins. And whatever capacities came, they were very quickly absorbed in the market. And therefore, polyester players were able to earn handsome margins. But I think they are somewhat inclusive and exclusive both. In some cases, BOPP can be replaced by polyester and vice versa. But there are different dynamics for both the industries.
Okay. Next question from Saurabh Shroff. On consumer packaging, what percentage of our sales go directly to the FMCG end consumers, and how much does it go to other packaging providers like Huhtamaki? Is the company seeing a shift for more packaging solutions versus just film sales?
So for us, the majority of the sales happen to converting companies or packaging companies. However, what we really try and see is that how much of it is driven by the brand. So the brand is saying that please buy from Cosmofilm. That is much more relevant for us. And all the sustainable solutions that we have done in the last 2-3 years, or the labeling solutions we have done, is actually driven by the brands saying to the converter that, look, you have to buy from Cosmofilms. So direct sales is very less. It's largely overwrap sales, which goes directly to the brand, because most of the times the brand is looking to get a printed solution rather than an unprinted solution, and therefore it has to route through a converting company or a packaging company, but it is driven by the brand to the converter.
Okay. Next question from Mr. Sunil Jain is, what are the types of specialty chemicals that we make, and how are they related to the existing business? So if you could give some further elaborate on that.
Yeah, so to begin with, the specialty chemicals, the first business it forayed into is master batches and additives, which are largely driven for films. It could be our films or it could be our customers, because our customers also polyethylene films. So all the capacity will be actually utilized in these two segments. The second growth avenue that we are looking at is getting into specialty chemicals, which has again two parts of it. Part of it will be used in-house, so all the coating chemicals that we use in-house, it will go there. The other area that we are looking in a big way is textile industry, and we have come out with a very unique solution for all the cotton. You process, there's a lot of water wastage, chemical wastage that happens, and the new solution that we are going to come with altogether new set of chemicals, it will reduce the water consumption by 25%. The other thing that we have come out is a new additive for antiviral. So we are actually going to provide a solution to the end consumer as well as industrial customers, that if you wash your clothes with our chemical, it will make your textile antiviral and hopefully anti-COVID. That also we feel will be very significant in the times to come.
Okay. Along those lines, there's a question from Ayush Jhunjhunwala. Any update on the new anti-COVID film which was sent to Germany for testing?
So anti-COVID test is yet to come. Anti-viral certification we have already received. We are putting a trademark name to it. But yeah, that certificate has already come. For anti-COVID, the challenge is there is so much queue for so many different products getting tested in the market. So unfortunately, it's not getting tested at the speed at which we want. We feel that it should come out as a very successful product based on the research we have done, but we also do not unfortunately have samples for anti-COVID. We are going based on the science that for an anti-COVID, this is what you need for a product to have, and we are able to achieve it. So we'll have to wait for the test results for that to come.
Okay. Question: the company has launched a couple of books using synthetic paper recently. How has been the response? Is the company talking with the publishers to use the synthetic paper to publish their books? Any talks in this direction?
I'm very glad that investors have been able to see this new thing. For the first time, a book could be published with the help of a synthetic paper. And in the past we had challenges with successful punching and all those things. So this was done more of actually a philanthropic purpose. Whatever are the realizations will actually go into Cosmo Foundation to help the needy. We have launched it on Amazon, and the book name is Dialects of Silence. These are pictures or the photographs of Delhi when it was under lockdown, and the photographer has done an excellent job, and I would say the publisher has done an excellent job in terms of printing and nicely presenting that book. So we are very glad, and actually it has got a lot of leverage for us because a lot of Bollywood stars, a lot of the I would say various ministries have liked what we have done, and there are more inquiries which are floating into the company to do those books, the coffee table books, premium books.
Okay, that's very interesting. A question from Sachin Kasera. Do specialty film margins also fluctuate like base films? Neeraj, any thoughts out here?
Well, frankly, no. Because one is the number of suppliers for these specialty is very limited. So, in India, practically Cosmo dominates. And worldwide also, there would not be more than 4 or 5 suppliers for a specific.
Okay. Another follow-up from him is, can we look at the ROC sustaining or crossing 20% over the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, you see, on trailing 12 months basis, we have 16% ROCE. And looking at the current year forecast, there's very clear room for the improvement. If we annualize Q1 result and calculate the ROCE, it will be more than 20% already.
Okay. Next question I'll take from Paras Nagda. How fast does specialty products become commoditized? How many years does it take for that to happen? Pankaj?
So we are not into one segment, and we are focusing on at least 3-4 segments, and within each segment there are sub-segments. Some products I would say could be relatively easier, 3 years, some could be 5 years, and some could be even 7 to 10 years. And some could be maybe never, because the other company will find it extremely challenging first to make that product and to sell that product. So it's very difficult to generalize that what is the shelf life of specialty product. And the other thing is we always have a stronger pipeline. Increasingly our pipeline is getting stronger and stronger. So even if we find that 2 products have started to move into semi-specialty range, we have 4 new products to get added into specialty range. And every year we are easily launching 4 to 5 mega products and 4 to 5 semi-mega products, and I would say that's a great success for us.
As a follow-up to that, there's a question as to what percentage of specialty films launched in the last 5 years has become a commodity today?
I have.
Any thoughts on that? Would you have any answer to that, or difficult to answer?
Very do. We are not really tracking. What we are really tracking is our specialty mix going up, and I think graph is very clear for us.
Okay. A question from Ashok Shah. Have we added new customers in the soap packaging business paper to conserve the aroma of soaps, or it would be only for HUL?
Right now, it's not even aroma. We would have wished that we are able to convince our customers to buy the aroma. We have a solution for it. Until now, it is rightly basically a sustainable solution. Earlier, it was a polyester film with a paper. Now it's a BOPP based structure. Initially, it was only one particular sub-brand of Unilever. Now they have shifted almost all their brands into this sustainable solution. The good part is a lot of other companies are into advanced stages of testing, whether it is Godrej soaps, Wipro, Reckitt Benckiser, They're all at different stages of testing and trials. And we do expect some of it to definitely get converted within next 2 to 3 quarters.
Okay. Neeraj, a couple questions for you. What question from Govindraj is what would be the peak debt after completion of the expansion project?
Indeed, I mean, since the debt will be raised over a period of time, let's say next 2 years, we do not see any significant movement in the debt level.
So it'll stay stable at the same levels.
Very right.
Okay. Another question.
Actually, next 2 years, it will remain stable because now we have announced a line. And ideally speaking, it will start then tapering off after the second year. Isn't that, Neeraj?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question from Pranay Javeri is the sales tax benefits and export benefits will be what percentage, like the mix, if you can give a thought on that.
Well, little difficult. Sales tax incentive is being reported in the other income, and I would say it will be around 1% of top line.
Okay. Pankaj, a question from Manancha. Will there be any downtime production loss in converting existing lines to specialty? What sort of production capacity will this create in terms of specialty mix? How much of capacity will be commodity post this conversion?
So first is, yes, there will be some capacity loss in Q3. It can be anywhere for the Q3 volumes, it can be anywhere between 10 to 15%. However, due to COVID, we have to really see whether we are able to achieve it in Q3 or Q4 because international travels are not yet allowed. It is not a magic wand that we'll be able to shift everything to specialty. It involves a lot of trial, a lot of work with the customers. But I think the path to specialty will get clear. So you can say the roadblocks which are there or the enablers which were there will now be in place. And you will continue to see that customer. And I've already given broad level targets that we have taken internally to take a specialty mix to better numbers.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time. I'll take a last couple of questions. Unfortunately, we have a hard stop at 12:15 for the management. I do know that there are a lot of questions that have not been answered, and we will try to come back to you. I have been trying to give everybody an opportunity. So please, sincere apologies if everyone's questions have not been answered. A question from Anshul Mittal: recyclability issues, consumption recyclability issues is driving consumption from BOPET to BOPP. Any thoughts on this, and do you expect that to benefit us?
I would not like to comment BOPET to BOPP. But definitely recyclability is a high on agenda for the brands and the end consumers. And whether it is nylon or BOPET or PVC, I would not really like to get into all that stuff. But increasingly customers are saying, is my film recyclable? That's the clear on agenda, and increasingly brands are investing more research and time into this. And we are getting significant advantage because of this, because we are the front runners. Today, we'll have definitely one of the strongest research when it comes to film industry in the world.
Okay. Let me take a last question then. Any plans to ramp up the R&D team? Could you please highlight any new and large opportunities projects on which we are working currently, and any milestones would you like to share?
So we are continuously sharing in terms of the new launches. We have recently made this writable and erasable product. We're also working on PVC-free signages. That's another ambitious project that we have taken for us. There's a lot of work going on the sustainability solutions for the customers. And then obviously on the chemical segment, again, a lot of research is going on adhesives and on the chemical side. So we every quarter keep telling our investors in terms of new additions. Some of it we have shared, but a lot of it cannot be shared, because we can't tell what is going to happen in the future. But I can tell you that there's a lot of interesting things which are in the pipeline.
Great, Pankajji, and thank you, management. Thank you, all the participants, for joining us. Pankajji, Neerajji, any final, maybe comments to the viewers today before we close?
Neeraj, you want to start, and maybe I can add in the end?
Well, to summarize, I think there are very clear growth path in place. First, with the specialized BOPET line, we will add close to 20% volume, and within it will be better EBITDA business. Second, master batch production, we have already started first for the captive consumption and the specialty chemical for the specific textile industry we are going to have very soon. Post that, we are also looking for consumer-driven adhesives. So that's another growth path we are looking for. Pet care, we have already discussed, that will give a different dimension to the company. So there are exciting things on plate in the coming years.
Pankajji?
Says that will be a company to reckon with in the years to come.
Great. Thank you so much, management. Also, once again, participants, if you have questions and follow-up that I was not able to ask the management, please email us or get in touch with us, and we'll definitely try to get the same answer from the company. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you, management, for the opportunity and taking the time out today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.